First things first, let's take a look at the handover coming in from the Wall Street, and Snehi, good moves coming in at least from S&P 500 as well as NASDAQ, right?
Well, absolutely. So let's take a look at what the US markets are up to. Hi there, good morning, and let me take you through what the US handover is looking like. And when you take a look at all of these three indices on the spot basis yesterday, Dow has had a little bit of a tumble yesterday. 0.3% lower is where that index closed. You had S&P 500 and NASDAQ, however, they've closed in the green. S&P 500 up 0.3%. NASDAQ was a real outperformer among all of these three indices, closed with gains of almost 0.9%. So 150 point uptick coming in on the NASDAQ yesterday as well. Now, when you take a look at what stock futures were up to, stock futures oscillated near the flat line last night as investors awaited the Fed Reserve's interest rate decision as well as May's consumer inflation data. Now, in extended trading, Oracle jumped 9% as traders fixated on the software maker's newly announced cloud deals with Google and AI, overlooking misses in the company's latest quarter. Now, yesterday's trading session, investors' rotation into Apple helped lift the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ to fresh closing highs once again. Remember, yesterday also both of these indices have closed at a record high, and that rally continues for both of these indices as well. The iPhone maker announced its push into artificial intelligence at its developer conference week, fueling a rally in the stock. The Dow was the outlier, like I mentioned. It lost 0.3%. And now on the data front, investors are looking forward to Wednesday's conclusion of the Fed's two-day policy meeting. And when you talk about it in Indian parlance, you will be getting it somewhere around midnight, a little before midnight in Indian timings. So the impact of this will be seen in tomorrow's trading session. Now, this will feature a rate policy decision and a subsequent press conference with Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Now, while the market is pricing that the Fed will maintain its benchmark overnight borrowing rate in a range between 5.25 to 5.5, the market will be watching for central bankers' updates to the summary of economic projections, which could clarify the path for policy ahead. Investors have grown increasingly concerned that the recently strong jobs report and sticky inflation support a higher for longer interest rate environment. May's consumer price index print, which is a broad measure of goods and services cost, will also be released on Wednesday. Remember, this is going to be just before the Fed releases its outcome on the repo rates as well. So the CPI print is going to be coming first, followed by what the Fed has to say. It's going to be a very interesting day, and for us it's going to be a very interesting night to watch out for what happens on that front as well. So lots is happening when it comes to the US. Now, May's consumer price index, which is a broad measure of goods and services costs, will also be released, like I just mentioned. So lots happening on the US markets front. Dow is the only outlier, cuts of 0.3%, but S&P and NASDAQ are doing pretty well. But while that was the US markets, let's just focus and talk about European markets, because European markets are largely in the red and very, very sharp cuts coming in from Europe this morning. You have DAX, which is closed 0.7% lower, a 125-point cut on that index. FTSE has closed 1% lower, 80 points lower, that index as well. And the Pan-European Stock 600 index is also an entire 1% lower. So, all of these markets have not done pretty well in yesterday's trading session.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.